How's it going, guys? It's Mr. Lo4f, and today I'm going to go and do a contract called Byre or Byre. Like, it's one of those words that the less you pronounce it, the more correct it sounds. I reckon. Like, get to the goddamn Byre. That's about it. Yeah, I'd pronounce it Byre, I think, but I don't know if that sounds right. Yeah, for this one though, I'm on the Harvest Court map, and I've got to take 2 lots of metal beams and 2 lots of medium planks to a farm that's not that far from the garage, but obviously the items I've got to grab are a little bit more of a trek. One of them, the 2 lots of metal beams, is that warehouse that's kind of down the road from the garage, really, or well, the road's a bit lacking. Yeah, drop it off at this farm. It's a farm I dropped some stuff off. I can't remember what the mission was called with an Navistar recently, and then yeah, the medium planks, I've unlocked a warehouse thing at the airport, so grab 2 of them. And yeah, the lines I've drawn are a little bit loose and kind of not too detailed. I wanted to yeah, freestyle it a little bit, so I kind of got rough directions, but I don't want to kind of draw them along a road and then I end up wanting to just cut across the countryside. Yeah, for this mission I've ended up taking out, is it the, I think it's the Voron AE. It's thrown me actually, because it's got like a custom paint job on it, and I can't remember if I've used the paint job or not before, but I'm normally used to this the Voron AE being red. Yeah, I was kind of hoping this would be a pretty good truck. I was originally going to take the Cat CT680, but it felt like it was already struggling just in the Harvest Court garage, which, to be fair, I think the mud in there is quite boggy, because even this thing felt like it was a little bit slow, but I'd already swapped it over and all that by them. Yeah, in theory this should be the better choice, but I remember with that Cat CT680, it's it kind of looks more like a highway truck, really. I think the game classes it as a heavy duty truck, so I think it even sits in the same category as this. I just remember, like, when you're on the right sort of road surface and all the rest of it, it actually drops the hammer pretty good. But yeah, I wasn't too sure after driving on the mud, yeah, just in the garage alone, and the fact that I knew I was going to kind of just start cutting across the map, not really following the roads or anything, so yeah, I figured probably best to just grab like a bit of an all-purpose off-road vehicle, one that's supposedly pretty good. I don't know what that little tower thing is in the background. That's what I was sort of distracted by. Looks like a mini version on that. The Seattle building, Needle. I don't even know if I'm making any sense right now. We'll see. Yeah, one thing I've got to say. First of all, I've been getting a lot of frame rate, like, lagging going on tonight, which I think is usually a sign that they're doing more background updates, and it's usually pretty close to when the next season drops, so yeah, I'm assuming Phase 9 shouldn't be that far away. The other thing is, though, I was taking a hell of a lot of damage, and again, that's another thing where I don't drive this truck all the time, so I can't 100% say, but I don't know, it was taking that much damage. I kind of got the feeling they might have dialed up the amount of damage we take in preparation for this new season, which wouldn't surprise me, because if they're ever going to change any settings and all the rest of it, they seem to lean on the side of making things worse, slower, more difficult, brakes easier, etc. I mean, yeah, it's a good job I brought the goddamn horse with me, because he's already repaired my suspension and the fuel tank as well, so obviously once that thing's broke, it's going to start pissing out fuel everywhere, so you've only got a limited amount of time. And just as I was driving out of that warehouse, there was, I think it was a Zix, there was a goddamn horse in there somewhere though, so yeah, that's what she said. Yeah, I could have kind of borrowed the repair points off that if I really wanted, but I'll stick with the loaf I've got. He usually gets me, well, usually, by usually I mean always, gets me across the finish line, so I don't even need to doubt him. And yeah, you can see now, like, as a good example, this is half the gearbox, I would say, as well, because it wasn't letting me get out of first gear. But yeah, that boggy mud back there, I'm not sure the Cat CT680 would be too keen on it. I think now, though, is when the Cat CT680 kind of drops the hammer and gets going, because it's got that like rocker arm suspension or whatever, instead of just more traditional suspension. I don't know, but it seems to sort of be, like, there's not a lot of bounce going on. Well, there's no flex in the back of the CT680. So when you're on, like, sort of more solid terrain like this, going across the grass, it seems to stay planted pretty well. as you can see there, as I was kind of swerving along, yeah, this Voron AE felt a little bit on the tippy side tonight, and then I don't know, maybe I just got a bit unlucky, maybe I was dropping the hammer a bit too fast, or combination. The trailer tip though, which is back to its usual tricks. It wouldn't surprise me, you know, we've had a nice trailer for the last month or two or whatever. It genuinely wouldn't surprise me if they've realised, like, oh shit, we've accidentally made the ramp flatbed workable, and then they've now nerfed it again. I don't know, because it's one of them, sort of the nature of the game. You can get a bit unlucky here and there, but yeah, absolutely wouldn't surprise me at all if they nerf it and put it back to traditional tipping every 2 seconds standards. So I almost put a crane on. I think it was on there. Oh no, was it the Cat CT680? I can't remember now, you know. I nearly put a crane on one. I thought it was this. It might have been. I don't know if it was though, no, because I think it was a yellow crane, so it must have been the Cat. Yeah, long story short though, as you can see, I was literally down the road from the garage, and the P12 already got a crane on it. I will always have it kind of parked, ready to load loafs and stuff onto the truck, so yeah, it was just quicker in the end. I could have faffed around, could have got the goddamn horse out and tried to nudge the cargo back on, which I'd definitely be willing to bet I could do. Especially with all these trees around, I can winch to them and pull it this way, that way, and all sorts. Obviously that's what she said. But yeah, it was just easier to go and grab the P12, bring it over. It's pretty rare I drive that thing anyway, so give it a chance for a little trip out. To be fair, it is overall pretty decent as a crane vehicle. And then I'll say now as well, I edit this because what I did, like on this now, I drove straight ahead, and if you can sort of see on the map and ahead of me, there's a lake. I went to cut through the middle, and it just absolutely bogged down, stopped instantly. It's like death mud basically. It was not letting me move at all, and yeah, it was just the footage was a bit scruffy, and I was like, sod it, just hit the quit and reloaded back there a little bit, a bit further back than where the P16 was. When it reloaded, I never technically lost my cargo and all that, but yeah, I left all that bit in. I kind of, when I was about to drive through the middle of the lake, or I did, and got stuck, I was seriously considering going round either side of it, and it was at the last minute I just decided to drive through, and then that went wrong. So yeah, I kind of wanted to quit and reload just to go back and more see how it is around the edge. Yeah, once the Voron got stuck, I didn't even look to see. I probably could have reached a tree, not from the Voron, but from my trailer, or I could have got the loaf out and used that as a mobile winch point. But yeah, I kind of, I don't know, just decided to quit and reload because yeah, I wanted to see like a bit of a better route around the lake instead of having it as part of the video where it's like, yeah, drive here, get stuck, panic, plenty of winches messing around. And then yeah, now heading towards a farm to drop the metal beams off. Again, I suppose that wasn't too bad. Smashed into someone's toilet. I'm on a trailer. Got no regrets. I had to get up for a piss the other night, and it was freezing. And I was thinking, like, can you imagine how it was for people back in the day, where you had to get up and go outside to like a non-heated toilet in the middle of freezing cold winter to have a piss? You wouldn't even bother. No wonder they had them a pot to piss in. I don't blame them. I'd find a good reason not to have one now, and I've got a toilet 20, 30 foot away. Yeah, using the winch. For some reason it kept trying to winch from the trailer, but thankfully it did do a winch from the front of the truck, kind of swing around that lamp post, and then yeah, start heading towards the airport. Seen a little bird flying over then. It reminded me in the news, like, what are they up to these days when they keep now saying they're shooting down a UFO every other day? It went from they wouldn't shoot one balloon until it had fully scanned the places it need to scan, and then yeah, now every other story is that going on. So usually it means they're trying to hide something else, I reckon. Take your pick these days. Run Jeepers Creepers over. For some reason some of the scarecrows are bigger than the other ones. In fact, those two, I think the first one was bigger. That's definitely what she said. We still ran him over though, in the end, just. It's a pretty tall, skinny building there. Yeah, the damage, like I say, it's... The fact that I didn't even get from the garage to like the first warehouse before my suspension had been completely deleted and the fuel tank, I don't know. Either I got unlucky, the Voron AE is weak, or yeah, they've been fiddling around with the numbers. Because I'm sure at some point pretty soon I'll kind of delete the whole thing again. It was more, when you take damage like there, for example, so how much it actually took was what I noticed to sort of be worse. And at this point I was gonna, well, I was dropping the hammer. I was like, sod it, I'll ignore the suspension. And then, yeah, as I kept going, I took damage on the fuel tank, so I was like, sod it. Even though at the airport there is a fuel station, which I knew I could go to, and the Lo4f has got fuel as well, but yeah, I've still got about, is it 40 points left or something with the Lo4f, so fix that fuel tank and the tyre. Even though I would have run out of points, I purposely didn't want to fix the suspension anyway, just because at this point it's one of them where it's like, you're just going to fix it so it's in a position to be able to take more damage and get broken again. And I was curious at this point, just leaving it smashed, like, it works on some trucks better than others. This one, to be fair, actually seemed like it wasn't too bad in the end. So yeah, if you ever use this truck, and if it's being a bit of a troll with how quick it's taking damage, it's not the end of the world just to leave the suspension broken, because even if I had unlimited points, if I put another 300 points, whatever it is, into the suspension, all it's going to do is, yeah, just get, I don't know, run over a molehill or a leaf, something that shouldn't really be smashing a purpose-built off-road truck to pieces, and then yeah, it'll just keep draining all the points. Like I say, knowing what I know now, I probably wouldn't have fixed the suspension just when I was getting to that first warehouse. Obviously the fuel tank, that's one thing I would say though, once you've damaged the suspension, obviously the fuel tank is like the next thing to take some hits, so, but that only costs, is it like 50 points or something to repair, so it's not as much of a point hog. Yeah, grab 2 lots of medium planks, as you can see there, just zooming in with the camera. It actually looks quite nice. I remember I've still got my lowered Taiga on the White Valley map, which that must have been there a good 2.5 years now, I would have thought. Yeah, they look pretty good when the suspension's smashed and they sit lower. And like I said, some trucks are pretty terrible once you've smashed the suspension. They just seem to be like grinding on their own wheels as it's all slammed down and everything. But yeah, I mean, at this point, now I've taken tyre damage, I'm pretty sure I take fuel damage, like the fuel, yeah, there you go. See what I mean? It's how much, like, when I'm whacking it, how much of a hit it's taking. It's deleting, like, the suspension in 2 or 3 hits, if that. The tank's going in, like, 1 hit. I've even blown some tyres up, which I didn't think were all that common. I know you pop one every now and then, but this thing, yeah, if I just kept stopping as soon as it broke stuff, I reckon I could have gone through probably 5 or 10 tyres, which is a bit on the extreme side. So at this point, I decided, if in doubt, just, yeah, keep it pinned, fingers crossed. It's riding along pretty nicely on the suspension. Hopefully it's not going to run out of wheels before I get there. I think I've still got 2 more spare with the Lo4f. Thinking about it, or was it the cat? I can't remember, because I did both of these trucks up. Oh no, it wasn't even that. It was I was originally, before the Cat CT680, I was going to use the ANK Civilian, and you can't have a sideboard on it. Obviously it's the military version that can have the sideboard, but I remember I used the military version not too long ago, and even though they're basically the identical vehicle, yeah, so then I kind of scrapped that idea, went for the CT680, drove that in the yard, scrapped that idea, went for the Voron. This is what I mean, often it takes me an hour or 2 just to pick a vehicle and get it upgraded and get like the video ready to start. I do quite easily waste a bit of time before I even get the video going. But yeah, as particularly that the fuel tank was leaking, no time to waste, drop the hammer, get back to this farm, drop, yeah, 2, what they called medium planks, and we actually get an animation for this one, so this must have been a mission that they kind of intended pretty early, because yeah, this Harvest Corp, as I was saying when I was playing on this map at the weekend with the live stream, a lot of the missions just seemed like they were sort of thrown together at the last minute. But you see what I mean though with the money? It's like, was it 3,000? It's less than 4,000 for this mission, which is ridiculously low considering some of the other missions, funnily enough on Harvest Corp, that seemed like they were probably thrown together at the last minute. They were paying out like 6, 7, 8,000. One of them was like 11,000 for delivering a trailer or rescuing a little scout vehicle or something. Yeah, this mission was in theory a lot more messing around and delivering stuff. 3,000 odd is pretty useless. I was originally going to reverse over to my loaf over there and fix it up, but I thought there's no point. I'd rather keep the points on the goddamn professional. So I transferred the fuel over to the Navistar so it doesn't all leak out, and then we're done. Yeah, that's about it for today. I hope you've enjoyed. I hope that helps. Thanks for watching. Thanks to my Patreon members. Get yourself a loaf because he's goddamn professional, and I'll be back soon.